The Magic Show is brought to you by StarCityGames.com, and check this out. New Phyrexia is coming soon, and StarCityGames.com is your source for boxes, cases, fat packs, intro packs, complete sets, and singles. Head on over to StarCityGames.com and pre-order New Phyrexia today.
Hi, I'm Evan Irwin, live at the Atlanta Open, and welcome to the Magic Show!
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of the Magic Show. This week we're going to be taking advantage of an unfortunate situation. For Wizards, not for us. Apparently some Japanese gamers got their hands on new Phyrexia rares and we got the benefit of perusing them. Ready to see a ton of new cool stuff with Phyrexian mana and the new Karn Planeswalker? Let's go! So this week, an incredible leak of information happened. What we found was not only some jaw-dropping cards, but Phyrexian mana and a freaking Planeswalker. Alright, let's start at the top. Say hello to Karn the Released. Oh my god. Seriously. Good Lord, Wizards, you did it again. I'm completely blown away here. Where do we start up? Now, first, he's colorless. Now, this is because Wizards does care a little tiny bit about vintage and realizes that giving them a Tinker target Planeswalker just breaks that format in half. Not that it wasn't broken already, or whatever. Second, 7 whopping mana. He better be unreal, right? I mean, Nicol Bolas Planeswalker costs 8 mana, and for what it's worth, I'm pretty sure Karn's a little bit better. Anyway, first off, you can have target player exile a card from their hand to raise him to 10 loyalty, 10. Holy cow. And I thought Gideon's 8 after his first activation was high. You can basically expect Karn to make an incredible long-lasting impact on any game in which he's resolving. 10 loyalty? Pretty sure if you're swinging for 10 damage at Karn and not the controller of Karn, you might not be winning that game, okay? Now the second ability gives you a Vindicate, which can be used twice to up Karn's starting loyalty, or they can kill him after the first activation, in which you just cast Spine of Ishsaw. But the ultimate, just wow, they just printed the words restart the game on a Magic card, folks. This is ridiculous, completely over the top, completely indulgent, and I love every second of it. You can't not love a card that not only restarts the friggin' game, it gives you all the spells you exiled for free. They remove a Wurmcoil, you remove a Jace, the game starts over, and you start with both? Get out! Needless to say, this card is amazing. It will be the premier mythic of the set. You know, I was curious as to how they were going to show rebuilding a world in a Magic card, and then they printed restart the game. That's fantastic. Next up, we look at another premier mythic of the set, Phyrexian Canceller. A 4 black mana, 5/5 trampler that, when it's dealt damage, the source of that damage sacrifices permanents. Note, not the controller of Phyrexian Canceller, the source. That means they bolt him, they sacrifice 3 permanents. That's ridiculous. Man, you know what it takes to make a 4 mana symbol card playable these days? Well, I think they found the threshold. You don't have Go for the Throat or Day of Judgment? Good friggin' luck. This guy is unreal and could very well herald the return of Mono Black to Standard. Can you imagine this guy on a Mimic Bat? Good luck winning, brah. This will be a chase mythic out of the gates, and I suggest you get your playset soon if you like playing with swamps. Now it's time for Phyrexian mana. Now this is sweet. These are colored artifacts whose mana may be paid with either 2 life or the color of the Phyrexian symbol. Our white Phyrexian symbol is found on Norn's Annex. Yes, this is a new Ghostly Prison propaganda card, cards which, by the way, were heavily played back in their day. This one is 3 colorless mana and 4 life, or a white mana and 3 colorless mana and 2 life, or 5 mana for 2 white and 3 colorless total. This is a punishing card that shows you the incredible versatility of this mechanic. Got a mono blue deck and want to slow down the onslaught? Well, 3 mana and some life is all it takes. Speaking of life, check out Phyrexian Unlife. Love this card. If it does nothing but gain you 10 life, as it were, I simply think it's a sweet card that makes you think differently about the idea of how infect and life totals work together. Pure Steel Paladin is up next, and whoo boy, this card is sweet. I don't know if you knew this or not, but equipment is absolutely defining this metagame right now, and this guy reduces their costs to 0? What? Tumble Magnet is seen play everywhere, and it only takes a piece of equipment, a Tumble Magnet, and one other artifact to start attaching things for free. Oh, and by the way, when you sneak them into play with Stoneforge Mystic, feel free to draw a card. Yeah, go ahead and enjoy that. Next is Psychological Surgery, or as I like to call it, screw a fetch land. You fetching, you get to Fates to the top of their library, essentially. You look at the top two after they shuffle, you exile one and leave you where... You look at the top two after they shuffle, you exile one, and hopefully leave them with a crappier option. Probably just a casual card, but neato, right? Speaking of neato, here comes Species Transplantation. Now there's a reason this thing is 5 mana, I'm sure of it, just like there was for Conspiracy back in the day. I'm just not sure why. I mean, I guess you can abuse Mere Turbine by tapping 5 creatures and going to get any creature in your deck. I mean, that seems pretty good, but then again, if you got 5 creatures and a Mere Turbine, what do you need more stuff for? Moving on, the Chancellor cycle is up next. This begins with Chancellor of the Dross, and these are 7 mana creatures that at the beginning of the game you can reveal them for an interesting bonus. Now this bad boy is awesome in your opener and multiplayer as it can gain and drain a significant amount of life. Otherwise, it's your basic 6/6 flying lifelink or a fine duder for 7 mana. Now the red one, Chancellor of the Furnace, gives you a free Raging Goblin. Ooh. Now I'm sure this was done for balance reasons, because if it gave you 2 and you had all 4 of them in your opener, well, GG, brah. Unfortunately, it makes the ability look kind of crappy. Its Enter the Battlefield trigger, however, well, it makes a dude per dude, and that's great. Next up is a very interesting card, Praetor's Grip. Now, firstly, this card is bonkers in Commander, but what about Standard? Could I go get your Jace the Mind Sculptor and cast it later when I have Mana Leak back up? How about I grab your Gideon Jura and smash your face with it? Or I grab a Planeswalker you already have so I can Legend Rule it? Hell, it can even be a crappy Sylvan Scribe by just getting a land from their deck. In Legacy, I blow you out with your own Wasteland, or I grab a Tarmogoyf that I need from your deck to block your Tarmogoyf. I think this is one of the best cards in the set, and it's deceptively powerful. We now come to Urabrask, the Hidden. This is a mythic 5 mana 4/4. What? Well, it better have some kick-ass abilities, and it appears it does. Creatures you control, including that guy, have haste. Alright, sounds good. But what about the other ability? Creatures your opponents control enter the battlefield tap? Now that is fantastic. Gets rid of some blockers and puts your opponent in top deck mode? Well, swing and a miss unless he's off the board. As a legendary creature, he immediately gets commander status, and I think he'll do just fine in a pesky red deck in that format. Moving on to green cards, we got some goodies. Now, first up is Spawning Shell. Now, this thing is either fan-freaking-tastic or terrible. I can't really tell which right now. I'm leaning towards the former, as this thing basically turns your Birds of Paradise into Fauna Shaman, who turns into Elvish Archdruid, who turns into Vengevine, who turns into Baneslayer Angel, who turns to Inferno Titan or something, or whatever. Who cares? Just keep ramping up those creatures until they get bonkers. This thing is a hell of a sleeper card. Just saying. But you smell that? Oh, that's fresh meat, boys. That card advantage spell is sick. And note that the wording does not count non-token creatures, all right? It counts all of them. Your elves get wrecked by Day of Judgment. Into your turn, we make a bunch of 3/3s and we start over. Now, this is a card that looks great but could be terrible. Potential is very much there. However, I love me a good green card. Up next is Jace Must Die. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Hex Parasite. Now, this card has a colorless answer, only needing 1 mana, and it beats the hell out of some Planeswalkers. Also note, it removes counters of any type, including Infect-driven -1/-1 counters or charge counters from cards like Tumble Magnet. Pay 3 mana, 2 life, and kill a Jace or remove Tumble Magnet from the equation, and it gets +1/+0 for each counter you're removing? Nice hoser, developers. Get your set soon, and also note that Trinket Mage will happily snag this card from your deck. Also, an interesting 2-card combo, Near-Death Experience, and this guy. Think about it. So you're rocking Phyrexian Canceller and need to keep your mono black deck working? Wizards has got you covered by what is currently known as Scream Whip. Yes, that is a hell of a Nightmare Lash. You remember that card cost the same mana and 3 life to equip? Well, now you get a creature on it for free and it costs 2 black or 4 life to equip. Wizards wants mono black to be a thing, and it's cards like these that get it there. While the spoilers were completely unofficial and completely not okay with Wizards of the Coast, the good news is they're completely awesome. I love this set already, and we got a fantastic and dynamic alternate mana cost tied with a new mana symbol, which is always sweet, and we've already seen some metagame shakers. But now it's time for the Open Series update. This past weekend in Atlanta, 518 showed up, including yours truly, who flunked right out with Vengevine Naya. But who did do well? Edgar the Master Flores finally closed on a tournament, defeating all on his way to take the title. This promptly shot him to level 6 status in the StarCityGames.com Players Club, meaning he'll be getting a crisp $100 bill at every open weekend through the end of next year. That's $3 grand alone this year. by the way, okay? But did you see the other top 8 ringers? Harrison Greenberg rocked it this past weekend with Jumanji, which is essentially green-white aggro. Check it out. Now, what's this deck good at? Killing Caw-Blade. He took down innumerable copies of the deck on his way to the top 4, and even if he didn't take down the tournament, he certainly earned enough money for his troubles. Other stars doing well? AJ Soccer is a mere 2 points from reaching level 6 himself, while Alex Bertoncini finally made level 7, along with Star City Games Open superstar Jerry Thompson. The Player of the Year race is definitely heating up. As for Legacy, 211 souls showed up for the Battle of the Hatfields versus everybody else. Jesse Hatfield was our big winner, and if you were unclear how real High Tide combo is in that format, let's just say the Hatfield brothers went undefeated through the Swiss and had a very real chance of playing in the finals. They did not, however, as Dredge made its way to the finals instead, a pseudo-combo deck that is a turn or so faster than High Tide on the play. But where's the meta going? Let's talk shop in our metagame shift. This week we saw Caw-Blade absolutely destroy the field with a whopping 5 copies in the top 8. Now this is an issue. Now while some are saying to ban Stoneforge Mystic, don't be silly. People were saying the same thing about Bloodbraid Elves, and that sure as hell was a lot more prevalent than this guy ever was. The issue is that the format has basically formed itself around this incredible card advantage engine, and a huge shift is probably waiting for new Phyrexia to be released. What can you do? Well, pack Darkblade, the black version, as it puts up the best win percentages, but can be worse against traditional blue-white and their tectonic edges. Pack Valakut, because Caw-Blade has a hard time with Summoning Trap, which is the version you should be running. Lastly, Vengevine is a real dude who smashes Caw-Blade real bad. I would suggest sleeving up the 4-mana Hasty Duder if you're looking to beat some birds. But let's look at a crazy new and crazy fun deck. Donnie Nolan, top 8 Open Series competitor, has designed one hell of a Jund build. Check this thing out. We're talking a whopping 4 Planeswalkers, including Chandra freaking Nalar, sup birds, along with Liliana Vess, who I of course called awful a few weeks ago, and there's Sarkhan the Mad being all upset. I want you to think of the interaction between Sarkhan the Mad and Oracle of Moldiah. No, really. Give it some thought. How insane is that? Also, Abyssal Persecutor is still a badass and still stomps faces. Time to kill him? Go for the throat, or Sarkhan the Mad can turn him into a dragon. This deck made 17th place last weekend, losing in the last round to make top 8. If you're looking for something different, this is where I'd start. So that's another week in the world of Magic, folks, with amazing spoilers popping up everywhere. Who knows what we'll be talking about next Friday. Until next time, Magic players, this is Evan Irwin, tapping the cards so you don't have to.
I always like the fatties.